Imagine encountering a creature so strange and terrifying that it causes you to question your own reality. Now imagine the authorities not only dismiss your account, but actively work to discredit it altogether. Could this really be happening? From cryptid sightings like Dogman to unexplained aerial phenomena in New Jersey, the pattern of government denial, disinformation, and deception runs deep. Today we'll explore some of the more compelling theories about how and why these strange phenomena are covered up, and what it means for those of us who seek the truth. Welcome to Cryptid Crossings, I'm Brian. This is where we explore cryptids, legends, and mysteries that surround them. Today we're diving into the murky waters of government cover-ups, linking Dogman sightings, cryptid suppressions, and even the unexplained aerial phenomena that are occurring in New Jersey. This story is going to take us through some eerie forests, shadowy government facilities, and even into the sky above us. So grab a flashlight, we're going deep in the shadows. Now our first stop is Land Between the Lakes, or LBL. It's a densely forested national recreation area on the border of Kentucky and Tennessee. In our previous Dogman video, we covered this area. There were a number of comments on that video that pointed toward cover-ups occurring related to Dogman. Now, Land Between the Lakes was created in 1960 when two rivers were dammed to form Kentucky Lake and Lake Barkley. The resulting land bridge between the two gives the place its name, Land Between the Lakes. Now, to make way for this project, hundreds of families were forcibly relocated. Their homes and communities were submerged or abandoned, leaving behind eerie remnants of what once was. Some theorists propose a darker reason behind LBL's creation. They argue that the government created the area as a containment zone for Dogman, a cryptid that is said to roam the forest in the region. But with the natural barriers created by the lakes and the remote, isolated terrain, it makes for an ideal place to contain such a dangerous and elusive creature. Now, adding to the mystery are chilling reports like the infamous family camping tragedy. In the early 1980s, a family of four set out on a camping trip in the LBL National Recreation Area. Days later, searchers found their campsite ravaged by some strange creature. The family's bodies were found mauled, spread around the campsite by what could only be described as a feral attack. Large canine tracks were found, but they were much larger than any natural known predator that lurks the area. And official reports were never released. So why would such a horrific event be just swept under the rug? Witnesses who investigated the area reported military presence sweeping in quickly to secure the area and silence any rumors. Some believe the government actively suppressed information around the attack in order to not create a public panic, or perhaps to hide its own involvement in the situation in general. Now, we had many comments on our previous video about Dogman in LBL, one of which was submitted by Joseph Spalero. The Dogman creature itself is not just a hoax, mass hysteria, or folklore. Unfortunately, the Dogman cryptid is a very real thing. There is much more compelling evidence than most people are aware of regarding the Dogman. The LBL has had many attacks on families, many cover-ups in the park, and many fatalities. Many people have been attacked and killed at the Land Between the Lakes National Park. The military has been involved, as well as creditable eyewitnesses who have seen tourists get attacked by these creatures. I'm not talking about quick sightings. I'm referring to police officers coming forward as witnesses. The Dogman creature is no joke. But stories like the tragedy at LBL are not unique in cryptid lore. What makes them especially unsettling is the silence that follows. Official explanations that never come, evidence that vanishes, witnesses that are silenced. And this pattern raises a larger question. If Dogman is just a myth, why do we keep seeing these recurring threads of secrecy? In fact, this isn't the only Dogman story that's shrouded in mystery. In 2007, the Gable Film was released. This film appeared to show a creature resembling the Dogman stalking a forest, before rushing toward the camera. A few years later, its creator, Micah Grusa, came forward and claimed it was a hoax. But was it truly just a prank? What if Agrusa wasn't acting alone? What if he was encouraged, or even planted by the government, to stage this hoax? By discrediting this sighting, they could dismiss the Dogman story altogether. But why would they do this? To control the narrative, of course. You inject doubt into the public consciousness, and then it's easier to discredit any future sighting. You can no longer distinguish credible accounts from obvious fabrications. And if the Dogman sightings are connected to something the government doesn't want us to know, be it classified experiments or just deeper knowledge about the world around us, discrediting the Gable Film is the perfect way to keep us all in the dark. And the idea that the government might suppress cryptid encounters isn't limited to the Dogman alone. Let's take Bigfoot, for example. Over the decades, we've seen countless sightings dismissed as hoaxes or just sheer misidentification. But dig a little deeper and a pattern of suppression begins to emerge. First, let's talk about the Mount St. Helens eruption of 1980. After the devastating volcanic eruption, there were reports of military personnel retrieving strange, oversized bodies from the surrounding forests. Some witnesses claim that what the military was removing weren't just normal animals, but were actually the charred remains of Bigfoot-like creatures. These reports were quickly silenced, with official accounts denying the presence of anything unusual. Could the government have stepped in to cover up evidence of a population of Bigfoot creatures destroyed by the eruption? It's hard to say, but the lack of transparency gives room for speculation. But there's another fascinating event in the 1970s linked to the Bureau of Land Management in California. A logger working the area discovered massive footprints that didn't match any known species. And he reported this to local authorities, who enlisted the help of the Bureau of Land Management. Strangely, the agency confiscated the evidence and told the logger to speak no more of it. Now, why would a federal agency go out of its way to suppress evidence that could help us understand more about North American wildlife? Could it be that acknowledging Bigfoot would have far-reaching implications on land use and conservation policies? And these cases are compelling because it shows a pattern. Silence witnesses, confiscate evidence, control the narrative. And while skeptics might chalk it up to misunderstandings or coincidences, the parallels to UFO cover-ups, where military and government agencies have repeatedly denied and then later admitted to withholding information, are hard to ignore. For decades, reports of unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs, have been met with a mix of silence, ridicule, and obfuscation. Take the Roswell incident in 1947. What started as a report of a mysterious flying disc crashing in New Mexico quickly spiraled into one of the most iconic UFO conspiracy theories of all time. Initially, the U.S. military had reported that they had recovered a flying disc, but quickly backtracked on that statement, saying it was nothing more than a weather balloon. Decades later, declassified documents revealed the debris was part of Project Mogul, a top-secret military program using high-altitude balloons to monitor Soviet nuclear testing. And while this does seem plausible, many skeptics believe that this was an elaborate hoax by the government to cover up the knowledge of extraterrestrial beings. And by offering a mundane explanation, the government could downplay the incident and cover up the secrecy surrounding UFOs. And then there's the Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or ATIP. For years, the government denied the existence of any formal UFO research program. And that changed in 2017 when the New York Times dropped a report confirming the existence of ATIP, a Pentagon program that investigated UAPs. This revelation came with compelling evidence, including declassified videos of unidentified objects performing maneuvers beyond the capabilities of known human technology. Yet despite this admission, the government has remained tight-lipped and slow to provide any additional transparency, leaving many questions unanswered. And another unsettling case is the Rendlesham Forest case of 1980. This event involved multiple U.S. Air Force personnel stationed at a base in England. They reported seeing strange lights, experiencing equipment malfunctions, and even encountering a triangular craft in the woods. Despite extensive witness testimony and physical evidence, the U.S. and British governments dismissed the incident as misidentified lights or a hoax. However, leaked documents and recordings suggest there was far more to the story, with some theorists arguing that classified technology or even extraterrestrial contact was involved. And what ties these cases together is the deliberate effort to discredit witnesses and control the narrative. Skeptics are quick to argue that these actions are about national security, keeping advanced technologies or secret operations under wraps. But others believe the suppression goes deeper. Could it be that the truth about extraterrestrial life or cryptids in general would fundamentally challenge our understanding of the world and undermine the power structures that rely on that understanding? Now, in recent weeks, New Jersey residents have witnessed an uptick in what has been described as drones flying overhead. They report these objects as being as large as SUVs. with distinctive features like large wingspans and flashing lights. They've been observed near many sensitive areas, military bases, critical infrastructures, prompting concerns about public safety and national security. And the government's response has been mixed. National Security spokesman John Kirby suggested that many of these sightings could be misidentified helicopters or airplanes, aiming to downplay public concern. However, this explanation has not alleviated fears, especially as local authorities, including the FBI and the DHS, continue to investigate the origins of these drones. Now, despite these efforts, no definitive source has been identified, and officials have stated there are no known threats to public safety. Although I don't know how you know there's no known threat if you don't know what they are. And some officials have proposed even more drastic measures. Senator Richard Blumenthal has called for urgent analysis and potentially shooting down these drones, especially given their proximity to airports and military institutions. And the Pentagon has refuted claims that these drones are linked to foreign adversaries, stating there's no evidence to support such assertions. And so this lack of clear information has led to various theories about the drone's origins. Speculations range from foreign adversaries like Iran, Russia, and China deploying these drones to private companies conducting tests, or maybe even hobbyists or copycats, or maybe it's a U.S. government project. But there is a benefit to overwhelming the narrative with plausible deniability. You allow misidentifications like helicopters and airplanes to flood the public forum, and then the genuine phenomena becomes drowned in a sea of mundane explanations. And then this obfuscates credible accounts, making it harder for the truth to emerge. But consider how this ties into the broader pattern of government responses to unknown phenomena, from UFOs to cryptids. Consistent refusal to acknowledge compelling evidence reinforces the perception of deliberate suppression. And no matter if the motivation is to maintain control, protect classified projects, or prevent widespread panic, the result's the same. A lack of transparency fuels speculation and distrust. But in the end, the New Jersey drone sightings and the muted governmental response highlights the delicate balance between security, secrecy, and public accountability. And as with any other phenomena, the unanswered questions and unacknowledged sightings leave a void that conspiracies and speculation will eagerly fill, further deepening the mystery. So when we look at this long-standing history of secrecy, we're left with one question. Why? What are the motivations driving this veil of secrecy? And the reasons may be more complex and layered than they first appear. The most frequently cited reason for secrecy is that of national security. If cryptids like Dogman and Bigfoot or UFOs represent some advanced unknown entity, their presence could signal a potential threat. And acknowledging such threats might expose the government's inability to control or defend against them, shaking public confidence in institutions. And they could be working to just minimize mass panic. The mere acknowledgement of cryptids or UFOs or non-human intelligence could disrupt societal order, especially in a world already brimming with existential anxiety. And it also helps to preserve power and control. Governments thrive on controlling narratives. Maintaining secrecy ensures that they remain the primary arbiters of truth. By controlling the release or suppression of certain truths, governments retain the upper hand in scientific and technological advancements. And then there are the practical concerns about disclosure. If cryptids or UFOs were revealed to exist, industries ranging from aviation to agriculture could face upheaval. Imagine the effect on tourism if national parks actually became this cryptid hotspot, or if airlines were deemed unsafe due to unknown entities in the skies. But at the core of government secrecy lies a complex interplay of fear, control, and responsibility. Whether protecting national security, avoiding societal unrest, or safeguarding their own authority, the motivations remain as enigmatic as the phenomena. But as history shows, secrets have a way of coming to light. These stories remind us that the unknown often lurks where we least expect it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Have you encountered a cryptid or witnessed something authorities dismissed way too easily? And don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. And remember, stay curious. You never know what lurks in the shadows.